Friday, and thanks for tuning in to RadioFreeRhinecliff.org and this show in particular. Correct me if I'm Norm. I'm your host, Norm. I'm thrilled to be here tonight with Samantha Simon.
Yay!
Who are you?
Who am
you? And what are you doing here? That's right. It's a combative show. Did they not tell you?
No, I wasn't told, but I'm ready, actually, to be combative.
Good.
Hi, Norm. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, perfect.
My name, professionally speaking, is Sam Simon, and I host the podcast here at Radio Free Rhinecliff, Technocracy for Dummies. What is that?
That's what my face is saying right now.
Yeah,
Technocracy.
exactly. Well, I'm here today because we're doing a promotional crossover.
Oh, sweet.
That's at least what I thought was
Love
happening
that.
to some extent, and also a great chat.
Yeah,
Great
good.
chat.
Well, hopefully.
Two strongly opinioned people, one
I don't
closet-sized
really.
studio.
Yeah.
So that's
So-
what I thought was happening.
Well, good. So we're cross-promoting, your show, Technocracy for Dummies. What is Technocracy?
Great question.
I'm a dummy.
So, and as am I. And so part of what we're doing with Technocracy for Dummies is getting people smarter than us to help define technocracy. So there's a lot of different understandings of the word technocracy. In the 60s, it was used in a different way, which I can't define because I have only just seen it used. And it was like, well, they didn't really have technology the way we had technology. But
Right.
formerly, I think it was thought to be sort of a system of government that was headed up by people with scientific and technological expertise, or at least in which that was taken into account.
Right.
And now we're sort of using it to define where we are in the American government right now, where like tech elites have an enormous amount of control over how the government actually functions. So the difference there is that our tech elites are evil people, and formerly, science and technology were thought to be these voices of reason and would be incorporated into the government in like a logical and reasonable way, where we are listening to science and taking that into account, and vaccines are good, and climate change is real, and those were the scientists that were being listened to, as opposed to all of this anti-science that we're seeing at the forefront now.
Well, how do you think it came to pass that like the tech people became evil? I mean, I think Elon Musk, like, is fucking perfectly cast as an evil man.
Absolutely. That is part of what I think that's part of the larger project of the show, is that we're trying to figure out how it came to pass.
Right.
The first guest on the podcast, Jennifer Polka, she had some really great... Well, are we thinking about how technology came to pass as a force of evil, or how the people behind technology became the evil ones?
Well, both. I mean, I guess my question was, just how did it turn from a good thing run by good people with good intentions to this like evil surveillance state sort of like thing where all the things that used to be good are now thought of as bad?
I think there's a long historical argument that technology has always been a force of evil. If you go back to Heidegger, who, we all know he was a Nazi, but he has this long essay called The Question Concerning Technology. And his whole thing is that modern technology is a bad thing because it's a way to strip people of their power and turn them into this thing that he calls the standing reserve, which is essentially this like large scale metaphor for how the Nazis like disempowered everyone and turned them into like an army to be deployed at the will of whoever was in power.
Right.
And that's his whole thing. But that is an argument that goes further back, which is, what is modern technology? How do you decide what technology is and isn't? I mean, if we're Marshall McLuhaning it, it's like technology is the thing that sets us apart as a species from all other animals. It's what makes us different. It's an extension of man. So there's this kind of hard argument about whether or not technology itself is the bad thing, because we as humans tend to use it to empower ourselves and disempower others and create hierarchies from that. So that's one part of it, is that technology is often used for bad, historically has been used for evil, but has so much potential to be used for good. And then The other side of it, the like people side of it, I mean, if we're thinking about Mark Zuckerberg, have you seen The Social Network?
Yeah.
I mean, he was always, using it for bad. His whole, like, the opening sequence of that has him, like, creating, and, to whatever extent it's dramatized, it also is based on things that he actually did and which are in the online historical record of him creating, like, a system that you can rank women and compare them to barnyard animals. And then Facebook was originally, like, a complete form of exclusivity and like for figuring out who's having sex with who kind of thing, which isn't a bad thing. It's a way of getting information, but all things considered, I guess that's sort of a predecessor to the surveillance kind of industry that we find ourselves in now. Just the assumption that all of your personal and private information should be accessible to other people on the internet. So I'm not really sure if that answered your question, but I think that there's
some part of it, yeah.
I think there's a long history of bad technology.
Yeah, holy crap. You just like hit on like a dozen ideas I want to follow. But the last one was this idea that all of our information should be widely accessible. That like, explain that to me, because that sort of runs against everything I think.
Oh, I don't think that it should be widely accessible. But I think that that is a guiding principle of the surveillance state that we now find ourselves in. And it's not even that we, as people who use the internet and use social media, think that our data should be accessible. But by clicking terms and conditions, we sign it over anyway.
Right.
And so...
Have you ever read completely the terms and conditions of it?
I've definitely tried in an act of defiance to like read the
Right.
terms and conditions, like when my iPhone updates and Apple is like, our terms and conditions have changed. And I'm like, okay, let me take a look at them. There's like a minimum of 75 pages of legalese. Like,
Right.
how do you get through that? And at this point, for people of my generation, what's the fucking point? Like, my the most recent guest on my podcast, Andrew Kautz, said to me that there's 100% more information than I know about myself out there on the internet.
Is there any way to find out what that 100% more is?
That's a good question. That's not really something that I know about completely. I know that there are some ways to like go on Instagram and go deep into your settings. I've done this before. And go deep into your settings and see what categories they have you marked as engaging with or enjoying. And you'll go through that and you'll be like, there's so much of this that I would never actually like. Or like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
So that's where they're getting it wrong.
They're getting it wrong, but they're still fitting you into these sort of buckets of like, this could potentially be of interest to you.
Right.
Just because I don't remember clicking on it or like stopping to look at a popcorn ad doesn't mean that I haven't in the 10 years of life that I've been on Instagram. Like, I could have been like, wow, look at this kettle pop when I was 11. And Instagram is like, well, I'm going to remember that forever about you, just in case you get really back into popcorn in the future.
Right.
And now that I've said the word popcorn so many times, I will be getting ads for it on my iPhone.
Yeah.
And you will probably too.
Yeah, well, I like popcorn. So how do you feel about that you're being surveilled that way for, marketing purposes and sales and stuff? That they're listening in?
Yeah. I don't really know if I have the option to feel a certain way about it anymore. It's just a fact of life.
Right.
Like, it's like being asked, do you like being perceived as someone who wears dresses by the people who have seen me wear a dress, who I've only met once and have seen me wear a dress.
Right.
It's not really like for someone who has grown up on the generalized internet so profoundly.
And how old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay.
It's not really like, and even before I got on social media, I was watching stuff on YouTube on a family account, and that kind of data is going to transfer over when I get my own Google account kind of thing. So I don't really know if I have like the option to feel a certain way about it. I can try to create less data about myself, but there's already so much of me out there that like a well-trained piece of software could pretty easily take a guess at the next thing that I will like, you know? Like, I have been duped into being interested in the Graza olive oil ads, and now I get ads for this, like, Palestinian olive oil that's, like, this sort of dig at Graza kind of thing. Like, they're marketing to me before I even know what I want. And that's just kind of going to continue because I need my computer for everything I do.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just a consumer.
But also, I mean, for me, in terms of advertising, I'm like, well, that's nice. You know the kinds of things I like, and you're showing me more of that.
Yeah.
So I sort of don't
Have
mind
you ever
that.
gotten to a point where you were like, this is too much, stop showing me all of these ads all the time for this specific product?
Yeah, I have. And I've found that it was very easy to say, stop showing me this, and very effective, which makes me happy.
True. You can say, don't show me this.
Yeah. So you said just now that you're trying to produce less data about yourself.
Oh, I didn't say I was trying to. I said that I could.
Oh, that you could.
I could.
How would you do that?
Using your phone less. Leaving it in a different room while you do your activities. Like,
Right.
leaving any of your listening devices somewhere else. Just like not holding them and touching them and using them is basically the only way to stop creating data around about yourself, at least until we have chips in our brains, and then it's going to be impossible.
Right. Gads. And you think that's going to happen?
Shrug.
Shrug.
Maybe.
And do you talk to people on your podcast who are experts in questions like that? Are we getting chips in our brains?
Maybe up soon. We don't have a chip and brain expert yet, but maybe we can find someone who's been fired by Neuralink to talk to. If you've been fired by Neuralink, reach out to us at Technocracy #4dummies@gmail.com or radiofreerhinecliffe@gmail.com.
Yeah. Yeah. That's and so what is this company you mentioned then?
Oh, Neuralink?
Yeah.
Oh, Elon Musk's brain chip company.
Yes. I did not know that there was a brain chip company.
Yes, they were testing on monkeys for a while.
So that I could just like order a refill of peanut butter with my brain and not have to like even press any buttons on the computer.
You know, maybe that's what they want. I feel like that would be more of an Amazon thing than an Elon Musk thing. I feel like maybe his chip would be more for trying to like call your car to you before you like are ready to drive it.
Right.
And obviously you need a Tesla for that. They're instrumented together. But
so are there good guys out there in this realm?
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, there's the Center for Humane Technology, Tristan Harris, please come on the podcast, is I know working for like better laws around AI and like regulating Silicon Valley and like those exact kind of like neurological chips. But I think, and also like my conversation with Jennifer Polka was very good because she was like, I meet all these young people who are going to work in computer science and they try working at startups and they realize that that's not fulfilling to them. And so they come and try to work in government technology instead. And government technology is a whole barrel of monkeys that is problematic also. But at least people who are graduating with computer science degrees, some of them just want to make money, but some of them do really want to, especially because a lot of them are people around my age and have spent a lot of time with technology. So I think some people do want to make it better, but we're pretty embedded in our old ways.
Oh, yeah. Seriously embedded. So you, before we went on, you were talking about LinkedIn, which I don't really think about. I'm not looking for work, but I'm guessing you are going to be looking for work at some point. You graduate this year. Is it what happens after graduation?
I'm going to be a podcaster.
Oh, yeah? Is there a lot of money in that?
Yeah, I hear there's a lot of money.
Sweet.
You get the right people promoting you, like Graza olive oil. and you can make a lot of money off of it. But, I don't think that's like a solid career in and of itself, especially because I don't have any people to promote right now. So yeah, the long and the short of that is I don't really know.
Right.
I want to get my Montessori certification, so that I can teach when I can, but that might mean going back to school. I don't want to go back to school. I've been in school for enough time.
And you finished this May or something?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Very exciting.
Early congratulations.
It's not early. It's just right on time.
No, I mean, congratulations before the fact.
Thank you.
So you were art history and experimental humanities major?
Yes.
How did you get to this podcast?
That's such a good question.
Oh, thank you very much.
I was working here at the Epicurean over the summer. And, Matt's always here. And he was like, "You're new. What's your deal?" And I was like, "I'm an art history and experimental humanities major." And he was like, "What's experimental humanities?" And I was like, it's how technology mediates and changes everything to do with the humanities. How does it change how we look at English? How does it change how we look at art? How does it change how we look at math and science? It's very interdisciplinary. Everything that we consider to be a meaningful, uniquely human discipline, which I guess is the entirety of academia, can be filtered through an experimental humanities lens. And then he went home and did some research and was like, "I've been wanting to have a podcast about technology with a Gen Z host, and you're just opinionated enough for it." So. And
you liked the idea?
Yeah. I mean, I get told that I should have a podcast all the time, and it's...
Why?
Because I talk a lot.
Do you? Sweet.
Yeah.
Like the perfect guest.
Yeah, it makes your job a lot easier.
And when you told these people who tell you that you're going to have a podcast on technology, how did they react to the topic of your podcast?
Usually they're like, "Oh, cool." I think people know me on campus as the experimental humanities girl, or one of them, because we have to go give presentations to classes about what experimental humanities is, and that's how I got into the program. And also I've done a lot of kind of PR stuff for the department, because I work for them. So I think no one was particularly surprised.
Okay. Is Paul Marienthal part of that? Do you know him?
No. What's his department?
Some bard. I thought it was experimental humanities, but it might. I guess I'm wrong.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
So
unless he's on the steering committee, in which case I don't have access to that.
So when you give classes on what experimental humanities are or is, you must have examples, specific examples that you try to tell these people.
Yes, we have a slideshow.
Oh, could you share a couple of those examples with me?
Yeah, absolutely. Recently, a couple of my coworkers finished this animation project headed up by computer science professor Valerie Barr at Bard, which was a history, a kind of feminist history of computer programming, which was very cool. So that's one of the projects that was recently completed, and that took my friend Anna a year and a half to do, maybe just a year, but it was very labor intensive because she was, drawing every frame of it. In the past, there's a lot of vultures on the Bard campus, and so we hooked up a 360-degree camera to some of the vultures and followed and recorded it while they flew over the Hudson Valley area. Very cool.
How did you catch the vultures to do this?
I don't know. It was before I was there.
Right.
But that was very cool.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Right now we're working, a bunch of my coworkers are working on this gaming programming lab called the Seed Lab. Also very cool. Yeah. I don't know.
And what does that do, Seed Lab?
I think they're developing a narrative game right now.
Right.
But I'm not entirely sure because I'm not a programmer.
And so will you have to do a senior thesis or a paper or something in experimental humanities?
Yes.
What's that going to be on?
Well, I'm working on it right now. So art history is my main major, and experimental humanities is a concentration, which means that it's more of a lens
Okay.
to look at your main major through than
Right.
anything else. So my paper is on Charlotte Moorman and Nam June Paik.
Uh-huh.
For all of the contemporary art heads out there, are you familiar with Nam June Paik?
Yeah.
Thank God. Sometimes people aren't, and then I have to explain who he is first.
I'll bet most people aren't.
I mean, he's a very interesting guy. Like yeah. So, father of video art is how he's generally known. His most famous works are like TV Buddha. He did a lot of works with TV as a medium, like electronic and visual art. But in the late 1950s and early 1960s, he was a performance artist, and he was making a lot of like John Cage kind of like action music pieces where the focus is on the sound or like the production of sound through an action,
Right.
and less on like a specific score. And so I'm talking about his collaboration with this cellist Charlotte Moorman, who is a deeply interesting woman. She's generally known as the topless cellist because she
Right.
performed. Oh, you're familiar?
Yeah.
Oh my God, awesome!
I thought it was naked, not just topless.
No, well,
but-
she did do some stuff naked as well, yes. She just loved to be naked. But, so I'm talking about her, and then I'm also talking about this piece of Nam June Paik's that emerged at about the same time that he started collaborating with Charlotte Moorman, which is this robot K456, which is this, like, absolute piece of shit robot. It's so ugly. It's, like, barely functional. You can see right through it, all the wires and inner workings, and it's like very heavy on the like gender gimmicks. Like it has breasts that twirl, and before it went to New York, it had a penis made out of sandpaper and flint. So, but they took that off because New York was still too censored at the time.
And where did it come to New York from?
Japan. It was created
Oh,
in
I see.
Japan by Pike and electrical engineer Shuya Abe, and then they brought it to Cologne with them, and then to New York. So
What year about?
he moved in early 1964, I believe. So that was when he like entered the avant-garde scene. So that's what I'm writing about. I need to, yeah. I love it. It's deeply interesting to me. I spent all yesterday thinking about it. And so the technological aspect of it is the robot, and also the way that Moorman's body was constantly intermediated by technological artworks of Pike's.
Right.
Yes.
And if she's like naked or topless, these like robot boobs kind of relate to that.
Yeah, totally. The robot also had these propellers for eyes, and also obviously the breasts twirl. And during one of Moorman's performances, Opera Sextronique, the one she got arrested during, which gave her the notoriety for topless cellist, she had propellers attached to her nipples. There's just this interesting synchronicity between the way that he's using these two sort of female-gendered sex objects. Yeah.
And did they work together to create live performances?
Moorman and Pike?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But technically speaking, all of the works are under Pike's authorship, even though she did a lot of the work of interpretation and realization. And they work together on a lot of that. But it's still her body and her presence on stage. And
Right.
for example, for the John Cage works that she performed, they're still considered John Cage works, but Charlotte Moorman is performing them. But the authorship is still accredited to Cage,
Right.
even though she completely changed the interpretation, which Cage hated. But
Well, so what's the story with that? I mean, you said somewhere in your your LinkedIn profile, special interest in feminist theory and art. I mean, this sounds like what the fuck? Why is she not getting the credit that maybe she deserved in these collaborations?
super interesting question. You're just like making me talk about my senior project, which is great because I haven't done any work on it today.
Oh, good.
It's super interesting.
Yeah, lay it on me.
It's a lot of fun. My London fog. Yeah, so that's part of it. That's very interesting. Is Moorman, incredibly heterosexual woman. She loved men. She like exclusively hung out with men. Like this is throughout her career. She would like when she was in college getting her master's, she had like an army of male classmates who she would like call on to like drive her places and pick up stuff for her and do this and do that. And that sort of like boys girl mentality carried through to her career in a way that I think ultimately was pretty damaging for her, because otherwise she could have been realized as this very powerful like proto-feminist, like my body, my instrument, like it's my body, my choice kind of thing. But
I kind of took her that way already.
right. Well, in which you would, if you looked at her work,
Yeah.
you'd be like, well, has such command over her instrument and herself and her audience. She was very much known for her like her charisma and her very powerful presence. And she loved to say that she was, when she was asked why she was nude in some of her pieces, she loved to be like, oh, because he made me do it. He told me to do it, so I did. Which is very interesting, this sort of like disavowal of agency that was kind of a running theme with her. And there were other like feminist avant-garde artists at that time. Carolee Schneemann was a big one who was also working with the body, Yoko Ono, Alison Knowles, like these big names. And Moorman was close friends with Schneemann and Ono, and she's not given the same recognition or any of that. And maybe that's because she didn't put herself into those feminist intersections, or like into this like distinctly feminist narrative that they were. But yeah, either way, she doesn't have that same claim as like a female performance artist or a feminist performance artist.
Right.
So I'm still working through that. That's one of my big questions.
There must have been critics somewhere back in the day who saw her that way and wrote about her. I mean, the idea that her instrument is not just the cello but her body, I mean, is pretty, smack you in the face obvious. There must have been people writing about that, and from a feminist perspective.
Less. I don't think critics interpreted her very feministly.
Right.
More often they would be like, where is the obvious feminist statement here?
The man made me do it.
Right.
That's a good start, I think.
Well, yeah, I think if she was using the man made me do it as a feminist statement, or like as some kind of, as part of the piece, then you could say that that's feminist.
Yeah.
But she wasn't. She was kind of doing it to avoid responsibility for a while. And then after Paik ended their working relationship, essentially, he didn't really, but it was just sort of one of his projects, she started getting really into her authorship over the works, but she still was like very much reliant on having a male counterpart. After Paik was her main collaborator in the 1960s, and then Jim McWilliams was in the 1970s. And then she got very sick and like mostly stopped performing new work in the 80s, and then died in 1991. But yeah, there's always a man tied to her in some way or another.
And did she have relationships with these men, romantic relationships as well?
McWilliams was gay, so no. But her relationship with Paik is very contentious. Like, or not contentious, but contended. No one really knows if they ever had sex or not. Because the one time, at least, in which they were supposed to publicly have sex for a performance art piece, apparently they were both laughing so hard that Paik couldn't get it up. So that's beautiful. On some occasion in an interview, Paik was like, yeah, we did it in the back of a car. And then he was like, just kidding, no, we didn't. And she like refused to ever tell anyone. Because,
good for her.
Yeah, right? Super feminist. Keep your privacy private. I mean,
unless you're doing it as performance art.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So no one really knows to what extent they consummated their artistic relationship, but they like definitely really loved each other and like respected and admired each other, and she was his muse for a very long time. So that's a different kind of relationship, I guess. And also, like, his whole thing was making classical music sexy, and to do that with a specific woman, you have to at least acknowledge that she's sexy and your own attraction to her. So,
Right.
you know,
And-
Pike was definitely into her.
Yeah. So what's the thesis of your paper?
I'm not there yet. Don't ask me. I don't know.
Well, in describing it right now, did anything pop up? You're like, oh, maybe I'll look at it from this perspective.
The conversation we were having about whether or not a man made me do it could be considered part of the performance art piece is interesting to me. That's just maybe a side argument. Right now, I don't have a thesis, but one of my main questions is how are Charlotte Moorman and Robot K456 two different sides, or like the two primary sides of Nam June Paik's project to make classical music sexy, because the robot is also this like extended like music piece. It's considered an action music piece.
Did it created music in some way?
No, it
played
made noise. The
Right.
name is a reference to a Mozart sonata. So I guess that's how it's a music piece. But it's less about the music and more about the action music part
Right.
of it, I guess. I don't know. They were doing some crazy shit in the 60s.
Yeah.
I don't know.
When's the paper due?
April 3rd?
Oh.
Something like that. But
Oh,
my
plenty-
midways are in
plenty.
mid-December. I have to have a chapter finished by then and probably should figure out my thesis by that point. So.
Midway. So what is a midway?
You have to submit a certain amount of material to your Sprage board, and then they read it. It's like, board loves to do this thing, which is like mini grad school dissertation vibes. Like, you have to do it when you want to get into your major. You have to moderate, which also includes producing a certain amount of work to be looked at by a board to be approved, whether or not you go into a program.
Right.
And then midways are just like, what's happening here and how can we make it better, but obviously scarier because...
Right. So do you make a lot of your own art as well?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, not a lot, but I love to do art on my own time.
Right.
I think it's a part of my practice that comes in and out based on how much time I have,
Right.
but it's very therapeutic. Art therapy. What about you, Norm? Do you make art?
Yeah, once in a while.
What's your primary medium?
Boy, sculpture right now.
What kind?
It's a automated. It's a disc that spins with flags on it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh my god. Okay, so of course you know Nam June Paik.
Yeah,
They're like,
but also, I mean, I'm old enough to have seen his installations in New York City.
which ones?
Oh boy, just a mountain of TVs, and it's funny because I never thought of him as sort of an electronic artist, but as an artist who used TVs as as a sculptural element.
Why didn't you think of him as an electronic artist?
The installation that I recall was so large, and it was just stacks of these TVs.
Oh,
that-
was it the United States?
Yeah,
That's a classic.
yeah. And so then it's in this shape and stuff. So whatever was playing, which was like black and white and fuzzy, and was less engaging to me than the overall thing.
Yes, I think that
Lost the trees for the forest.
I think that's often true of avant-garde artwork. And that is just, I mean, that's like where I get stuck. Is I think for most of these things, the concept is so much more interesting than the actual work itself.
Yeah.
Like, you listen to a lot of Charlotte Moorman's performances, and it's like, it's noise, you know?
Right.
I mean, I'm not like a music virtuoso by any means, but it doesn't necessarily sound like quote unquote music.
Right.
So I think it's about the idea.
Yeah. So are you a fan of Yoko Ono's stuff?
I'm not familiar with her stuff individually enough to really know.
Right.
I think she's too controversial of an artist to say any further of an opinion on.
Yeah. I saw a show retrospective of her stuff, I don't know, 30 years ago.
Which one?
Or so. Oh, God, I don't know what it was called. It was in a gallery on Broadway in New York City, a big space. And she had the chessboard played by Trust, where all the chess characters, all the chess men are white, and all the squares are white, which I just loved.
Fascinating.
She had a ladder that you had to climb up to nail something into the ceiling. There were messages up there, and then I think she had a video of the one where people are cutting.
Cut piece.
Yeah,
cutting the
her
dress
clothes
off of her.
I fucking love to bits. Not just in the concept, but in reality, it turned out great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good one. Charlotte Moorman performed that one a bunch of times.
Yeah,
she really loved it. It's a very good one. Great feminist statement.
Yeah.
If you want to make that.
Yeah. Huh. And so, with the art that you do make, what is that like?
So, drawing. I'm very into
good.
Yeah, I'm very into drawing with oil pastels right now.
Uh-huh.
A little image text combination. I make a lot of memes just for fun.
A lot of memes.
Yeah,
that's good.
They're very expressive and adaptable, and
where do they show up?
on my meme account, Technocracy for Dummies. I've decided to use the promo account for the show as also my own personal meme account. So
Wow. And who hosts this meme account?
me,
Oh, you.
Instagram.
Instagram.
Who? Which
evil,
platform?
Evil Instagram.
Evil Instagram. I'll never leave.
Yeah. And never, ever, ever. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, it sounds like you see clearly how evil it is, and, the ownership and all this stuff, and how it's used and used against you. But still, you're okay with it.
I mean, it's kind of like,
as I am.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's an abusive relationship for sure.
Right.
I think I've been victimized by Instagram the same way that a lot of other young women, especially of my generation, have. Like, absolutely god-awful body image content being, like, plunged into your pre-adolescent brain over and over. Like, Zuckerberg went on trial for that, and they were like, do you know that you're, ruining teenagers' mental health and self-image? And he was like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything about that.
I was not aware of that trial.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I think that was pre-COVID even.
It's interesting, but, I would guess probably no more so than, like, Glamour or Mademoiselle or Vogue or any of these sort of fashion magazines where it's like, this is what your body should be like.
Yes, more, because it's on your phone. This is a way that it's ruining young men. Porn is everywhere on the internet. It's all over Instagram. It's unbelievably easy, and it's accessible, and it's constant. And a lot of these things now, like body image or porn or right-wing or left-wing ideology, have been coded into visuals where you can recognize them just as symbols and ingest them instead of them having to state themselves out loud, the way that, for example, a Playboy magazine or an Elle magazine would be not only stating itself out loud, but is a tangible physical piece of media and comes with a certain amount of social awareness. You can be seen reading Elle in public. It's the same way you can be seen reading Playboy. Oh my God, like my mom came into my room and found all my Playboy magazines under my bed, and now I'm so humiliated. Unless your mom is going on your phone all the time, she's not going to see that. And even then, there are ways that you can hide it if you're more tech savvy than your parents.
Right. And so when you were a kid, did your parents look at your social media?
No. My parents had a very good policy that unless I was behaving in a certain way that was like some sort of huge personality change, they were not going to go through my phone.
Wow.
They've gone through my phone maybe once in my life, and that was when I was being an absolute goddamn disaster of a 15-year-old. So.
First 15-year-old girl ever.
First 15-year-old girl ever to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And boy, was it like being crucified.
Do you remember what the mistake was?
Yeah, of course. I was for months having my little partly Instagram instrumented, I'm loving the word instrumented recently, partly Instagram instrumented eating disorder habit. And I told my parents I was over it and I was going to go out to this part. And I was also drinking a lot at that point, and just to like be bad. And And I told my parents that I was going to be good and I was going to this New Year's party and it was all going to be fine and I'd eaten enough that day and blah, 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 blah. And then I went to the party and I got super duper drunk and I blacked out and I threw up I'm from near Philadelphia. I threw up in a Wawa bathroom. And
In a what bathroom?
A Wawa bathroom?
Uh-huh.
Are you familiar?
Vaguely. That's like, is it gas station and
Yeah,
coffee
gas
shop?
it's like Stewart's, but
Right.
for the greater Philadelphia area, I like Stewart's better. Super controversial take.
Much better place to lose your lunch, Stewart's.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's friendlier, just in general. And then you can eat lots of ice cream and, nourish
the
yourself
antidote.
back to good health. But all of my friends were supposed to come and sleep over at my house that night. And so the only thing to be done was to call my parents. And yeah. And then I got grounded for a month. And then a month after that, COVID happened.
Oh, wow.
And then I was grounded forever.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
And so you were in high school when COVID happened. So how did you get back up here to Bard?
Physically?
I mean, how did it come to
take
pass?
the train.
What?
Philadelphia to Penn Station or
Fucking
Radcliffe.
awesome. What a great train ride, too.
My God, it's beautiful.
Well, south out of New York City gets ugly for a little bit. There's a couple of stretches. Why Bard?
I only applied to 2 colleges. I applied to Bard and Scripps College in California.
Uh-huh.
Scripps didn't want me. But I don't know why. I'm still offended. No, I always loved Bard. I toured like 3 times. Well, because also I was doing my whole college admission process mostly over Zoom because it was the pandemic.
Right.
So I went on 17 virtual tours.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, what else was there to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Literally nothing. I was going to do my schoolwork. There wasn't any. Like, it wasn't real.
And did you have an idea back then what you wanted to study?
Yeah, maybe. I don't really know. I think I have always loved art and culture and history and politics. And art history was an easy way to combine all of those and also gave me like a very specific, would give me, but did give me a very specific skill set for cultural analysis that
Right.
is applicable across a lot of fields. My grandfather, who passed my senior year, was an art history major when he was in college and then went on to work in politics. So maybe that's my trajectory too.
If you could work for any politician out there right now, who would you choose?
Zoran Mamdani.
I knew it.
Shocker. Who wouldn't?
Yeah,
Come
sure.
on.
Well, lots of
Become
people.
part of the 90,000 volunteers working for him.
Yeah.
And then maybe like AOC.
And kids, I haven't seen the statistics, but I'll bet that the younger vote turned out in much higher numbers than ever before.
They did. It was like unbelievable. I mean, so many people who had never voted before came to vote for Zoran.
Yeah.
I think was the general consensus.
You-
2 million votes.
You think the Democratic Party is going to like take notice and sort of move in that
I don't
direction?
think the Democratic Party can do shit. I think the Democratic Party are a bunch of
It's a-
centrists
it's a
who
good answer.
just want to twiddle their thumbs. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I don't know enough about what's functionally happening in the Democratic Party to say this, but like, what have they gotten done in my lifetime?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
Literally, what have they gotten done in my lifetime?
Well, the Affordable Care Act saved my life. I did bring it up. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I don't really know. I think any progress made by the Democratic Party has been very easily overturned by
Yes.
Republican insurgents.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, though they seem to be digging in a little bit on, healthcare.
Good.
No,
Good for them.
but you're disenfranchised with all of them.
Yeah.
Apart from Zoran, who are the national political figures who you like?
I don't really know. AOC.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. Are there national political figures I'm supposed to like? Are you supposed to like politicians? Why are we so concerned about politicians being likable? They're not celebrities. And they shouldn't be treated as such.
I like Zoran not because he's got a nice smile, but because he has good ideas.
He does have great ideas.
And,
He also has a very nice smile and a great...
I didn't notice.
It's not like he was right there
Yeah.
on all of his, on
Yes.
the Zua.
Yeah.
He's beaming.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I would love to see him do good things.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to see, this happen all across the U.S.
Yeah, but I don't think it will.
Well, I'd still love to see it.
Yeah. That being said.
Yeah. So you've got one semester left, really,
Yeah.
and you're studying to get a teaching certificate in
Montessori.
right. And why did you go to Montessori school?
I did.
Down there.
And then I worked there a couple of summers ago, and I wrote or tried to write some weird convoluted paper about Marx and Montessori a couple of summers ago.
Oh.
And so I did a lot of reading on her philosophy, and I just think that it turns out very capable people. I think that the way that the classroom is set up is great for facilitating engagement across different ages and across different materials.
How is it set up?
So a Montessori classroom is called a prepared environment. And I'm mostly thinking about Montessori from like ages 2 to 6, which is like Montessori preschool. You sometimes even 3 to 6 too is pretty young to start with that kind of thing. But it's called a prepared environment, and everything in there has been specifically set up according to like Montessori not law, but Montessori guidelines, which means that anything that reflects the human world, such as like kitchen utensils, is made the size of the child. And everything else in there is somehow educational. All the toys are educational. All of the toys are educational. And that comes from this like part of Montessori ideology that is that play is the child's work. And so when you are
Like that.
Yeah, love that. And it helps them take what they do in school seriously. Also, it's not just like, oh, what did you do at school today? Oh, we played all day. No, you worked. And
Right.
and it helps create a work ethic. You're starting to see why this would be good with Marx. I
I was not, but thanks for giving me
weird that you weren't going
extra
there.
credit. Yeah.
But yeah, so for example, in the classrooms, and also all of these toys have some kind of like direct relationship to things that a child fundamentally needs to learn. So for example, one of the best examples of this is in every Montessori classroom, just about, there's this object called the Big Pink Tower. And it is a series of blocks. They're all the same color of pink that are stacked, that can be gradated and stacked. So the big one at the bottom is big, and the little one at the top is very, very little. And as they go up, they change in weight. So it all corresponds. The height corresponds to how much it weighs. So the big pink block at the bottom weighs the most, and the tiny little one at the top weighs the least. And so she also has this idea that Maria Montessori has this idea that a child comes into identity or a sense of self through like this diligent, repeated activity that they're called towards. And like whatever one you're called towards is the child's sensibility. And you repeat an action enough times that you understand. And so like, for example, if you're 3 years old and you're building with the Big Pink Tower, you don't know that the goal is to stack it up so that it all fits perfectly together in this gradient. But you can tell very easily if something is out of order. If pieces are stacked in the wrong way, the tower will fall over. It won't look right. And so it helps cultivate a sense of order and weight and size relationship. Right. And you keep doing this same project over and over until you understand how it functions. And then you feel satisfied by that. And because part of Montessori is you as a teacher, you do not step in until the child asks you to.
Can it be, it certainly can be put together more ways than just one, just sort of like graded, big to small.
Yeah, absolutely. But it helps. So the idea of the sensibility, I think, is that you get a sense of sort of justice and order, and that there is a right way to complete this task so that it satisfies your soul. And so if you're looking at this Big Pink Tower and you have all of these different ones inverted, because also like a 3-year-old is not going to be like, okay, if I put this one that is lighter and then this one that is heavier and then this one that's lighter and this one that's heavier, and I'll create a way that they all balance together, and it will be
Right.
very unusual and avant-garde.
Like Giacometti.
Right, exactly. They're not going to do that. They're going to be like, oh shit, I put this together the wrong way and now it's falling over.
Right.
So it's all these things that sort of help cultivate a sense of how things fit together in the world.
Right. And do you remember being in that school and being drawn to certain things?
No, I don't. But I know that I learned how to peel an orange there. So that's awesome.
That's pretty good.
Very useful.
Life
Fine
skill.
motor skills.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then as a 5-year-old, you can peel an orange without having to ask your parents to. And then
You probably
feel
see a lot
independent.
more oranges than pink blocks in your life.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Unless I start hallucinating pink blocks.
So what was the training like to be...
Oh, I haven't started it yet. This is just something that I want to do when I'm
Okay. But you,
gainfully unemployed next year.
and I think I asked you this before, but what would really the perfect job be coming out of school?
Probably some kind of journalist. I
Oh.
think that's where, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a dream job. I've
Right.
gone in and out of different things for a while. I feel like I'm just going to do what I feel called to do and what comes to me.
Right.
So
Well,
I also don't really think that this is a job economy I can be picky and choosy in.
Right.
So.
Well, I'll bet you could do well if you put your mind to it with your podcast. I love
That's the goal.
Love the idea, love the name,
Oh, thank
and
you.
and you're a great talker
Thank you.
and probably really good. Actually, I listened to a couple. Very good question asker.
Thank you.
Yeah. So who's coming up next on the podcast?
We don't know. We don't know.
How often do you record this?
When we can.
Uh-huh.
I think the goal was to be every 2 weeks, but it's gotten harder. A lot of the people that we reach out to are professors or other kinds of like academia people, or they work in departments that are actively being cut by our current administration. So a lot of it's a little harder to coordinate with those groups of people. And then also, I'm a full-time college student and
Right.
have a finite amount of time, and I want to be the best host I can be.
Right.
Despite the fact that my role is to be a dummy, I would like to be at least slightly knowledgeable about what I'm asking all of the guests. So that's a few hours of research for me before.
Oh, that was
we
my
go
next
in.
question. Well, that's not bad. A few hours of research, you probably learned something new. And
No, not. I mean, I love to research. It's
Right.
like one of my favorite things to do. But I also have another major research project hanging over my life all the time, which is my senior thesis.
your
and
senior
then like
thesis. And
homework.
And what do you do for fun when you're not doing the work or the podcast? Or
I smoke weed and watch TV.
do you? Or
And
you
I
like,
cook. I love to cook. I go for runs.
Uh-huh.
I'm very well rounded. I smoke weed and I go running.
And what kind of running do you do? Because you used to run like the 800 and the 400 and the mile and stuff, right?
Where'd you find that?
I don't know. Somewhere. Somebody said you did a 6-minute and 21-second mile.
Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah.
That could be that might be someone who has a very similar name to me who runs at NYU or who used to run at NYU. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this was in high school, but that's not. It's
that
a
was
different.
not me.
Oh, geez.
That was not me. I never ran a meet in high school.
Oh, there you go.
I said I'm not doing that. I don't like it. I usually do long distance running. I've been running for 10 years now. But I've been sort of off my game this year. So I'm just trying to get back into it like 3-4 miles at a time right now.
Off your game in terms of there's just not going out as much.
Yeah, it's been a weird year. So I just haven't really had the motivation to do it.
And why a weird year?
I spent first semester in Stockholm and was on Prozac, which was really bad for me. So,
Oh boy.
yeah.
But did you sort of get through it to the other side where you hoped to get?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here now, and I had a very interesting experience in Stockholm, and I learned a lot about Swedish culture, and now everyone's obsessed with Sweden right now. Probably because...
Coincidence? I don't think so.
No, definitely not. But,
Yeah.
their social welfare system has problems, too.
Yeah.
No such thing as a perfect socialist capitalist country.
No, there was just an article somewhere, I think in the New York Times, about like the myth. Oh no, it was a book somebody recommended to me. The myth of Scandinavian like perfection.
Yeah. Ooh, I'd be pretty interested in that.
Anyway, guess what? We're out of time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Samantha Simon, for being here.
Thanks for having
Everybody,
me.
thanks for tuning in. Have a great Friday and a fabulous weekend. Thanks to the Epicurean, Matt Rosenberg, and producer extraordinaire, Jen Hammoud.
Thank you.
Thanks,
That was a
Sam
lot of
Simon.
fun.